A newspaper looks simple: sheets of printed paper, columns of text, headlines, photographs, advertisements, and a date at the top. But behind that ordinary format is one of the most important information systems ever created. For centuries, newspapers helped people understand what was happening beyond their own street, town, or social circle. They connected citizens to politics, merchants to markets, families to public notices, and communities to shared events. A newspaper is not just a collection of stories. It is a regularly published record of what editors, reporters, advertisers, and readers considered important at a particular moment in time. That regular rhythm matters. Because newspapers appeared daily, weekly, or on another fixed schedule, they trained societies to expect updated information as part of everyday life. At its core, a newspaper is a periodical publication that contains written information about current events. Traditionally, it was printed in black ink on white or gray newsprint, a cheap paper designed for mass production rather than permanence. That low-cost material was part of the point. Newspapers were meant to circulate widely and quickly. They were not luxury books for a small, educated elite. They were practical tools for public information. Their subjects could be broad: politics, business, sports, science, art, religion, crime, culture, and local life. A single issue might carry a government scandal, a weather forecast, a theater review, a stock price list, a sports result, and a notice about a birth or death. This variety made newspapers feel like a daily map of society. Newspapers also became important because they mixed serious information with everyday usefulness. Readers did not open them only for major national events. They also looked for local services, obituaries, birth announcements, advice columns, comic strips, puzzles, crosswords, Sudoku, and editorial cartoons. These features made the newspaper a habit, not just an emergency source. A person might buy it for political news and stay for the sports page. Someone else might read the classifieds, then notice an opinion column. This combination of public affairs and ordinary life helped newspapers become embedded in daily routines. They sat on kitchen tables, in cafes, on commuter trains, and in offices. In that sense, a newspaper was both a news product and a social object. The newspaper did not appear fully formed. Its roots go back to the 17th century, when information sheets began circulating among merchants. Trade depended on knowledge: ship arrivals, prices, wars, shortages, political decisions, and risks along commercial routes. Merchants needed timely updates, and printed sheets could move information more efficiently than private letters alone. Over time, these sheets expanded beyond commercial intelligence into broader public reporting. By the early 19th century, many cities across Europe and the Americas had newspapers of their own. The growth of urban life, literacy, printing technology, transportation, and political participation all helped newspapers spread. As more people could read and more societies debated public affairs, the demand for regular news increased. One of the newspaper's great powers was its ability to create a shared public agenda. Before radio, television, and the internet, newspapers were often the main way people learned what leaders said, what laws were proposed, what wars were being fought, and what events were shaping their communities. Editors decided which stories deserved the front page, which deserved a brief mention, and which were ignored. That editorial judgment gave newspapers influence. They did not merely reflect public conversation, they helped structure it. A front-page headline could make an issue urgent. An editorial could support reform or resist it. A cartoon could ridicule a politician more effectively than a long essay. Newspapers became arenas where power, opinion, and public attention met. Some newspapers gained a special reputation as newspapers of record. This term usually refers to publications known for editorial independence, high journalistic standards, reliability, and wide circulation or influence. A newspaper of record is not simply popular. It is trusted as a durable reference point for what happened. Libraries, courts, historians, businesses, and governments may treat its reporting as part of the documentary memory of a society. That status depends on discipline, verification, correction, sourcing, editorial separation, and institutional credibility built over time. Of course, no newspaper is perfect, and every publication has blind spots. But the idea of a newspaper of record shows how journalism can become part of a society's infrastructure, not merely a commercial product. Most newspapers, however, have always had to survive as businesses. Reporting costs money. Printing costs money. Delivery costs money. Editors, photographers, designers, correspondents, press operators, and administrative staff all need to be paid. Historically, newspapers covered those expenses through a mixture of subscriptions, newsstand sales, and advertising. The reader paid part of the cost, but advertisers often paid a large share because newspapers gathered valuable attention. If a local business wanted to reach households in a city, the newspaper was one of the best places to advertise. This business model shaped the industry for generations. It allowed newspapers to be sold at relatively affordable prices while still funding reporting operations, printing plants, and distribution networks. Classified advertising was especially important. For decades, newspapers were the marketplace for jobs, apartments, used cars, services, and personal listings. These small text ads may not look glamorous, but they generated serious revenue. They also made newspapers more useful to readers. If you wanted to hire, sell, rent, or find something locally, the newspaper connected you to people nearby. This arrangement worked because newspapers controlled a scarce channel of local attention. Then the internet changed that scarcity. Online platforms made it easier to search listings, compare prices, update information instantly, and connect directly. Classified ads migrated to specialized websites, and one of the newspaper industry's reliable revenue pillars weakened. The damage was not just technological, it was structural. When the internet became popular, many people described the newspaper crisis as a simple battle, print versus digital. In that version, paper was old, screens were new, and digital inevitably won. But the reality is more complicated. Newspapers did move online, and many still published digital editions every day. The deeper problem was that the entire economics of attention changed. Advertisers no longer needed newspapers as the main gateway to readers. Search engines, social media platforms, online marketplaces, email, video sites, and countless websites divided attention into many channels. Digital ad impressions became abundant, measurable, and often cheaper. Newspapers could reach readers online, but they no longer controlled the advertising environment in the way they once had. The shift to online news also changed reader behavior. In the print era, a person often bought a complete package, one newspaper containing politics, sports, business, culture, opinion, puzzles, local notices, and ads. Online, readers often arrive through a single link, search result, newsletter, or social media post. They may read one article without seeing the rest of the publication. This weakens the bundle that made newspapers powerful. It also changes loyalty. A reader may trust an individual journalist, follow a topic, or rely on a platform feed rather than subscribe to one local paper. Newspapers now compete not just with other newspapers, but with every source of information and entertainment that can appear on a screen. Many newspapers responded by building websites, apps, newsletters, podcasts, video channels, and subscription systems. Some reduced or ended print editions entirely. Others kept print for loyal paying readers while treating digital as the main platform. This transition created difficult trade-offs. Digital publishing can reach global audiences instantly, update stories quickly, and include multimedia. But it also demands constant technical investment, audience analytics, search optimization, social distribution, and new payment strategies. A printed newspaper had a clear physical form. A digital newspaper is more fluid, part website, part database, part app, part brand, part membership relationship. The institution remains, but the container has changed. The challenge is preserving journalistic value while adapting to a radically different medium. Despite all the disruption, the basic purpose of newspapers still matters. Societies need reliable reporting, local accountability, public records, informed debate, and shared knowledge about current events. The form may be paper, website, app, newsletter, or something else, but the underlying need has not disappeared. In fact, the flood of online information may make credible journalism more important, not less. The newspaper's history shows how information systems shape civic life. From merchant news sheets to mass circulation dailies to digital subscription platforms, newspapers have constantly adapted to technology, economics, and reader habits. Their future will not be a return to the old print monopoly. It will depend on whether they can keep producing trustworthy, useful, independent reporting in a world overflowing with information. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.